My name is Marcia Robinson, and we are recording an oral history with Karen Charlton Jestice as part of the MUMories Oral History Project. This project marks the 50th anniversary of the Miami University Middletown, Ohio campus. This interview is taking place on December 2nd, 2016, at the Gardner Harvey Library. Mrs. Jestice, do I have your consent to proceed with this interview?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. So your connection with Miami University began in 1966. Could you tell us about the first idea of coming to this college?
Well, when I was in high school, money was tight in our family, and I had won a scholarship at school, and my scholarship was only $200, but that $200 actually paid for, I think, the first semester here at MUM, my books and the college education and everything, so that helped. And that was the main reason that I came here, and I know some of my classmates, that was the reason for them coming too, because it was so convenient that it was so close to the town we lived in, and just coming here and the cost. I mean, it was very beneficial to have it and to start up. We were very lucky.
So what high school did you attend?
I graduated from Springboro High School.
And the idea of having a college so close by was very important to your classmates?
Oh, yes, it was. There were several students from Springboro that came here. And I think they went the 2 years and then transferred to the Oxford campus.
So you started in 1966, and what was your major?
I started out in elementary education when I first came here.
What were some of those classes like?
They were a lot of fun. The students were a close-knit group, and not only did I have my former classmates from Springboro, but I met a lot of students that came from Middletown and some of the other schools, and we did study groups together. And some of the classes, we did our activities together. I can remember going to a church and interacting with the children there. And then one of the classes, we learned how to play games with parachutes. And that was new to me because I didn't have any idea that you'd use a parachute to interact with students, and it was a lot of fun. We did that. And there was a project that we had to do where we had to make games. And I can remember making a bowling game out of Clorox bottles and putting sand in just a little sand in to keep them up. But then you had a fairly large ball that the students could hit and knock the bowling pins over. But it was very inexpensive, and it was fun doing that.
So how long did you stay at Miami doing that degree?
I was here just for 1 year in elementary education, and then I moved away for a year and then came back.
Okay. Can you talk more about the close group of friends? Where did you sit to do your study groups? What was your favorite part of campus?
Well, I really liked the library. We could come and we had to be quiet, of course, in here, but we could sit at a table in a group if we wanted to and study together and ask each other questions, or we had little cubicles that we could go sit by ourselves. But I can also remember being over in Johnston Hall, sitting close to where the registrar's office is and where the window was that you could look out the window. And we would sit there just on the couches and have little study groups. And I think there was a TV up there too. We used to watch the soap operas like in the afternoon.
So when you came back, you did not graduate immediately from Miami. Were you going full-time, part-time? What was it that brought you to become an alum? Could you talk about that path?
Yes, after I moved back, I was married, I had children, but I still wanted to continue my education, so I started taking like a course at a time as I continued to work. And so I eventually I think I had another year in elementary education, but the funds were tight at that time, so I inherited some money from my grandmother, so I decided to go into nursing. And I stopped the courses at MUM, and I went to Dayton School of Practical Nursing and became an LPN.
And then you came back to MUM?
Eventually I did. I worked at Otterbein, and I started taking more nursing courses here at the campus to get my RN degree. So I eventually took enough courses, and I got up to where I had to do the clinical part, and that took 2 full years to do clinical here. And I did that full-time, worked full-time, and eventually graduated from nursing in 1984.
What was a clinical class like? What was that like?
I'm sorry?
What was a clinical class like?
It was a lot of fun. We were learning, but we learned on each other. I mean, we had to give each other baths and, you know, take each other's temperature. I can remember doing the shots. When we did the shots, of course, we were allowed to give each other shots, but we practiced on an orange and doing that. I was trying to think how many students was in in my nursing class, but it's like we started and it was the same students for the whole 2 years, and we got to know each other very well. We helped each other, and especially when we went to the hospitals and the clinical settings, not only did we have the instructor, but we had each other. We sat down and we talked about the patients that we took care of, and it was a very good learning experience, just talking with each other and learning how different people took care of the different patients and handled different situations and some of the things that came up.
Would you say that your classmates created a sense of family to help each other through your program?
Oh, definitely. I had to have surgery when I was a student, and one of my friends, because I think we were only allowed to miss 3 days at that time, or you got kind of kicked out of the nursing program until you could come back at a further date. And I had the surgery, and the one friend of mine carried all my books for me and everything, so I wouldn't have to carry my books.
Oh, wow. I'd also like to talk about what it was like to know that you could be a non-traditional student and be accepted at MUM. What was that feeling like?
I don't know that it was any different, because I think all the students, or most of the students here were in the same situation that I was. Which was, I didn't have the funds or the opportunity to go to stay at a campus, you know, and stay in housing or anything, and it was just so convenient to come here and drive to class and be able to go home at night, not worry about anything.
And then, what was one of the funniest things you recall from your time as a student here?
Trying to get up the hill when it snowed, because the roads were slick, and you had to start way down by where Theskin Hall is now and go very slowly, keep your foot on the gas pedal and hope that you got up the hill. And if you didn't, then you were hoping there was nobody behind you, because you had to back down the hill and try it again. And there's been times that it took me 3 or 4 times to get up the hill.
Would you mind telling us what it was like to be a nurse from MUM and to see the movement from the hospital on the hill in Middletown to the Atrium Center?
I started working at the old Middletown Regional Hospital, and I had several classmates and other people from MUM that I worked with. And as much as I can recall, everybody that had worked at the old hospital transferred to the new hospital. We were really excited about getting the new hospital and having all new equipment, and we actually got an input into what was going to be into the hospital. They asked us about equipment, they asked us about the room setup, they asked us about the beds. I mean, it was really exciting at that time. So then after we went to the new hospital, I've lost my train of thought. What was it you wanted me to ask about?
You mentioned something about looking for a location for the new atrium hospital.
Oh, okay. Yes. Before they tore the old hospital down and while they were planning the new hospital, I know there was a question about where the new hospital was going to be built. I know one was down on Green Tree Road, down around where Burn Nursery was, and then there's the location that they had. I know for a long time we were wondering where the new hospital was going to be built, but eventually they got everything worked out, and I'm really glad that they put the hospital where it was. And I think it's worked out well there. And I know there was a lot of things in the newspaper too about the people of the community not wanting the hospital so far out away from town. But I think it's been at a good location, I really do. I think the people have accepted it now. So.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like future scholars and researchers to know about Miami University Middletown and what it means to the people?
Well, I think it's a beautiful campus. I think anybody that wants to come here, I think the education that I received here is just as well as the education that the people on the Oxford campus are getting. And in fact, some of the courses I had professors that came from Oxford that came over here to teach. So I think the education that on any of the campuses at Miami University are equal. I have no complaints at all with the education that I got.
Is there anything from the early years of the campus that you hope we continue to do in the next 50 years?
Oh, well, that's a tough question. I don't have any complaints at all from going here. I would say whatever they're doing is just to continue. I don't know if there's room to expand, to put more buildings in, or to offer I don't know how to say this, offer more courses in different areas. Because it's been a long time since I've seen what you offer here. I don't know what you offer, I'm sorry.
It's okay. But it's important to have, for people to have access.
Oh, I think it is, yeah. And I don't know about this ever being a 4-year college or not, but that would really help the community if it was a 4-year college.
How so?
Well, because I think you would have more people going here than going away to like Oxford or, I mean, the opportunity is here for the people of this area.
Okay.
I mean, if there had been a 4-year college when I was going to school, I probably would have continued on and got my bachelor's degree.
Okay. All right. Do I have your permission to discontinue the interview?
Yes, you do.
Thank you.